So the first question I'm going to ask you is just like introduce yourselves and introduce the project that you're presenting.
Okay, so my name's James Bragg. I'm from Bristol, England. I worked for 30 years as a family doctor in a small practice in this city, but 5 years ago retired from medicine, and I've just done a fine art degree. And I really love sort of exploring new 3D digital formats and experimenting with them.
And when did you make the piece?
The piece, well, Seba and
Wait. Yeah, Seba didn't introduce himself.
Yeah. Like you did that and then carry on with how we saw it.
So my name is Sebastián Morales Castillo. You can call me Seba. I'm a dancer from Chile, based in Bristol, UK. I've been living here for around 5 years. I mean, like, I moved to, like, Europe 5 years ago. We met with James in 2021 during like some activities related to like open jams and breaking sessions. Because here, like here as everywhere else, like breaking is not really something supported or visible. So whenever there's like chance to show what we do, we will be around there. And Bristol is not such a big city at the same time, so like every time there will be something as a jam or like an open floor for us, we'll be there. And we met over there with James, develop a friendship since 2021, and we've been like working together on a lot of things based on that, like on breaking and digital visual arts.
Breaking as in like break dancing.
Yeah, it's break dancing. Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. I love that. I love the like organic collaboration. And remind me, when did you make this piece, Immersive Cypher?
So this was developed from 2021. So this piece, like, let's say the exhibition, the virtual exhibition itself, it's
6 months.
Yeah,
6 months.
It's pretty like recent, but it has a compilation of like different works that we have been doing through time. So
it probably puts all of the sort of completed bits we've done for the last 2 years.
That's really beautiful. I think this is kind of a theme that, like, you know, maybe a show launched kind of recently, but it collects a lot of things that kind of were uncategorizable on their own, or like it's like, yeah, you really see like embodied process in these spaces. I think that's really beautiful.
I think for also me as a 3D digital artist, part of the thing has been us experimenting with different capture forms to capture the movements and shapes from the real world and bring them into a digital world. But part of the challenge is actually how to show my artwork. Is it projected? Is it a VR headset? Is it a web page? And so, yes, this was a great, I mean, that's part of the idea of your whole project, is a place where I can show 3D digital in a very accessible form to other people. So it was a great place to throw all the ideas we've been working on into something. I couldn't do this very easily in a real exhibition because I don't really work in reality that way.
So, right, I'm curious, like, it seems like inadvertently New Art City kind of became an archive of like art about the pandemic, or there's like a lot of shows that were about it because we kind of arise because of it. And I'm really curious, like, what was your practice like before the pandemic?
Okay, well, from my side is, as I said, I gave up my medicine 5 years ago, started a fine art degree. First year was pretty normal, then it got plunged into the pandemic, and then we're coming out of it. But so for my few years during my degree, we didn't end up with like a final year real exhibition. So it probably did force me to go down other ways of sharing my artwork, because I was in digital. That made online stuff very appropriate. But all of the painters and everyone in my year had to do something similar. We all had to go a bit digital.
And that's literally why we exist, because Don was an MFA at San Jose State, and his BFAs were going to not be able to have their BFA show. So he made them a 3D space where they could show their work. And that's how it happened.
I did that in my year as well. I helped because I'm from the techie side. So yeah, I did. I've really enjoyed a technique called photogrammetry. And so I was doing quite a lot of photogrammetry of my other friends' non-digital work. And one of the other sites I've been trying to do in our world is actually got quite a lot of objects from other people's 3D installations.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I've been doing it so I can share them then over online in a 3D form. Yeah.
Yeah, could you share more about like your kind of concept and process for making this piece?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have been mainly like keeping it like super playful, and like, let's say we come up, let's say, sometimes with a concept which comes from the dance, let's say like a specific movement, or it can be like a choreography, let's say like a phrase of movements that may come up. Or it may be also like James saying like, hey, we got like this new technique or equipment in which we could like portray, you know, this certain movement, and it would look great, for example. And then we actually play with it, then we experiment a little bit more, and then we come up with like pieces, let's say with actual like work after like exploring with different like techniques, let's say, like different formats. And I think, yeah, that has been more or less the way in which we did.
I don't think any of this we've started with a clear end outcome. We've started messing with stuff, then decided which bits we like, and then decide what form they might take later.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, I love this sort of like interplay of kind of technology and movement. Like, can we do this? And let's see if we can do it. I feel, yeah, a lot of kinship with that process.
And with and also because I've been learning a lot of the techniques as I go along, animation, rigging, Unity. I don't know what I'm doing. There's been a lot of mistakes which we've laughed at hysterically. So we've become quite specialist in bad animation. Animation are horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, my story is relatively similar. Like, I wasn't really like living as an artist until about 4 years ago, and I've only been doing Blender for the last like 2.5. So I had to learn as I went along. It's kind of the best way to do it, I think.
So we've been as far as the techniques for this exhibition we've put together, they're very varied because we've been experimenting with any sort of form we can get our hands on. And in a cheap way, because we've not been doing it on no money. Yeah. So we've done digital film, we've done 3D sculptures printed out, we've done photogrammetry, we've been using volumetric depth cameras. We got access to a local university who've got a motion capture suite.
I was going to ask, yeah, that would be amazing.
And we've been playing with 360-degree cameras and then putting them all in. So I think all of those techniques are in this room, in this.
Oh, wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I have a kind of like a cursory question. Like, was New Art City your first like virtual worlding tool? And you mentioned Unity. Have you spent a lot of time in other like game engines before or after?
During my degree, I played with 3D software going back probably 20 years. Things like TrueSpace were early ray tracing programs and things. But I didn't really get time until my degree to start exploring it more. Pretty early on, I chose Unity to get into it. And most of the stuff I've been doing hasn't been online. So I've been using it as a game engine and then showing it either projected or on VR headsets on a Vive and on a Quest 2.
Very cool. I have a Quest 2. I would love to see one.
Only the online I hadn't been doing, because every time I tried to render
it's a huge hassle
to online, it just died. And then
that kind of like leads into maybe my next question, which is, it's like, how do you like, this is maybe more of a preservation question, like how do you ensure that those games will last for some reasonable amount of time? But like, how do you deal with archiving in your own work? Like, do you have a lot of folders that you go back to? Do you sort of cycle through old things, or like, how do you deal with that?
I don't know. I use Dropbox a lot because it's all in Dropbox in folders. But actually, as far as the Unity things, it's quite nice that once you actually sort of render them to a game, they are a finished thing. which is hopefully will stay playable for quite a long time until they mess up the operating system. But backwards compatibility to old PC games will probably hang around for quite a long time, hopefully.
Yeah, it's really nice that there's like a retro computing trend. But I guess also just from more of like a process perspective, like how do you deal with the archive of material that you create?
I don't quite understand.
Like how do you
It's kind of like do you have a way that you return to things that you've made in the past? Like do you or like how does yeah, I'm not sure how else to phrase the question.
Oh, okay. Directory structure mainly. I've got a very complicated, my whole life you could probably look at by looking at the directory structure of my computer.
Yes, this is what I'm looking for. It's like I feel like it can be kind of a window into somebody's practice as to like how they deal with the like all of the the files that they choose to show and not show, all of the kind of experimentation.
I think for a while I've probably considered that my hard drive of my computer is an extension of my own memory. It is part of me.
That's really, really interesting to hear. Yeah, it's like everybody has such a different perspective on it. And so like how do you choose to access your memory, or like what function does the memory serve for you?
I think a lot of me is based on my memory, and I meant to lose my photo directory would be just awful. It would be losing a bit of my memory. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. I love this question. Sorry for like I'm just like so curious about the way everybody approaches things.
I don't know about Seba, because you don't think in the same way.
about your memory or about
No, your memory and your computer and your data, or is it all dance moves which are in your head?
Embodied memory.
Yeah, so no, on my side, I just use more analog based stuff, you know, like writing stuff down. But at the moment, I'm trying to get like hard drives and shit to make like an archive of like videos, to be able to like name things and categorize them, you know, or like videos of moves by themselves, phrases by themselves. So
I mean, the best summary I've seen sort of you is actually probably scrolling back through your Instagram videos.
Yeah, that's also super useful. Like I use Instagram as like an archive too.
Absolutely. It's interesting how it's used that way, and it's kind of like artists using this tool for something that it wasn't designed for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting how like movement can be ephemeral, and then sort of documentation then becomes like an art in itself.
Yeah. But I find video sort of frustrating because I love 3D perception, and it always looks so flat, really. I want to be able to look at it from different angles and stuff like this.
I guess that's a fun part about like operating a camera in Blender is you can like get the angles, but it's nice to be able to explore.
So I think I found it particularly interesting, this idea that you can have a real camera in front of a person dancing, but then you put them into Unity and you've got now a 3D object and a virtual camera. But then you don't have to leave the virtual camera where the original camera was. The virtual camera wanders off. Yeah. And that really confuses people when I try explaining.
Yeah, we have like both of our digital film like artwork in the exhibition is based on that, like a lot of playing with the camera itself and like impossible angles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, like Bruce Nauman. Have you heard of that piece? There's like one where you're like walking down this dark tunnel towards a glowing TV screen. And as you approach the TV screen, you see that there's actually a camera positioned at the end of the tunnel facing your back. So as you get closer to the TV, you get smaller. As you get further away, you get bigger, but you can't see it.
Well, it's more like if you've actually turned Seba dancing into a 3D real-time mesh, I mean, I've seen breakdancing films where they put the camera straight above the performer.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which is great for a lot of the ground moves, look really great from above. But with the way we've been doing it, we can have the camera below the dancer because it's an imaginary camera. You can do whatever you like.
It's interesting what Bruce Norman does. Like I just got a video.
Oh, he's looking up Bruce Norman.
All floor positions. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool as a concept, yeah.
There's interesting meeting Seba and meeting other breakers and watching their Instagrams. There's quite a lot of breakers exploring not just the dance, but actually various media techniques of expressing it in film. Different animations, different perspectives, different video effects, lots of different things they're exploring, which was
Yeah, I mean, I think all art is kind of multidisciplinary now. It's like it's a little bit odd to sort of describe yourself by a medium as one might have in the 20th century. But I'm honestly so excited to look into this space. So
Have you ever seen
can we switch gears to that? Oh,
Yeah. So you don't mind us chatting like this? You'll just edit it all afterwards, will you?
yeah, I mean, this is really like kind of an oral history, and like I'm really enjoying the kind of free exchange. It's because it's like we've shown thousands of artists on New Art City, and I've talked to a reasonably large fraction of them in some capacity, but like sitting down and talking to somebody about their work it's like really delightful.
Nice.
So I believe I'm sharing. Do you have an exhibition statement you'd like to read before we begin?
Oh, you've just written one.
Yeah, that's the only thing we
Come on, Seba, before we get to that.
So yeah, I can read it out. Should I? Yeah.
Sure, go ahead. I'm just gonna let the camera roll on the background.
Yeah, let me know whenever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, the exhibition itself, it's called Immersive Cypher. It's capturing breaking in 3D and a digital exploration of form and movement. This digital 3D exhibition comes as a result of like a joint collaboration and friendship between digital visual artist James Bragg and dancer Sebastián Morales Castillo since 2021 in Bristol, United Kingdom. The exhibition is separated into different zones and has the objective of showing the work they have developed since the start of their collaboration. It combines initial works with more advanced or complex ones based on different techniques of portrayal and/or equipment. Their work started as a way of playfully portraying the movement and shapes of breaking through digital media, breaking as breakdancing. This intention has remained as one of the core reasons for their continuous collaboration. In this exhibition, there are works in different formats, such as digital film, 3D sculpture, photogrammetry, volumetric video capturing, motion capture, and 360-degree videos. Most of the digital work, the digital film work, has been presented. Most of the digital film work has been developed using music tracks in collaboration with music producer Grove from Bristol, UK. I think just that.
It's amazing. Excellent statement, and I'm really excited to dive in. So we begin in this 3D scanned alley. It's pretty like dark. There's like a brick building at the end with external piping on it. That was a theme in another artist show recently, actually. And then on either side of the walls, there's graffiti in sort of like fuchsia and orange. And we see along the wall 2 videos and a 3D scan of a break dancer in some sort of headstand position. Maybe Seba, you can name this position for me.
Yeah, this is an elbow freeze. It's a typical freeze in breaking, in which you stand on top of your forearm. Let's say using one forearm and one hand as a way of balancing on top of yourself. So yeah, this bit was created using photogrammetry, and it's represented as a 3D sculpture of myself. This one was made at Motion Capture Laboratory, and yeah, it's mainly a 3D representation of myself upside down, standing on one elbow with my hips bent. And
it's cool. The scan even kind of like captured your forearm tattoo, it looks like.
No, I think it's just got a bit. Have you got a forearm tattoo?
I don't have any.
No.
Well, it looks like you have one, and it looks sick. You should consider it.
Yeah. No. So, but it gets the hair though. The hair looks pretty cool. It has like.
Oh yeah, the hair looks awesome.
Yeah,
so
I like that. That was good.
Yeah, I need to shave it.
Like a leopard or something.
Yeah, exactly. That was tiger.
Tiger.
But yeah, that bit on the forearm is part of a platform that was on top of the, like, to be able to make this.
Oh, I see.
Everything melts a bit and squishes and crossovers.
I know, I do a lot of photogrammetry myself.
Yes.
So let's move over to this video.
Well, I can tell you about the space.
Hmm?
I can tell you about the space.
Oh, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, in Bristol, there is the old police station. And this is actually the exercise yard for the police cells.
Oh, wow.
And this it's now a art studio community of artists.
Community level space.
That's a wonderful evolution for a police station to take.
And the cells just
That
around
they
the
all
corner.
be converted as such.
The cells are just around the corner, and we've done quite a few sort of club nights down there, including some very scary punk rock performances in the cells.
That rules. Wow. I'm so glad that you told me this. It's really adding to it for me. I love this graffiti too. Is this by like the artist in the studio? Like I'm seeing this, it's like a woman in profile with like black and pink streaked hair, and there's a little flower with a smiley face.
Our whole city is pretty dedicated and accepted to graffiti. We've even on our council, they sort of accept graffiti if it's good enough quality. There's a sort of, somebody has to sort of look after and keep an eye on it on the city.
I love that, that's like, that's so British to have, it's like, as long as it meets our standards, graffiti is totally fine.
Well, there's some
I think it's because it's like Banksy city and all that.
Right.
In our city, it's definitely accepted as an art form.
But yeah, like
we love it.
In relation
That's so
to
beautiful.
In relation to authorship of any like of the graffiti over there, I think
Yes.
we wouldn't be able to really tell because it's like a lot of different artists have passed through the.
It's over years, and it will keep slowly evolving and changing.
Maybe able to tell through like the tag itself, but I wouldn't be sure about who was the artist, for example, of the last piece you just described.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really, I feel like at least in LA, like graph writers kind of like know who's who based on their tags. And it's like, it would be very cool to interview somebody who might have that sort of personal knowledge.
We know people like that. We could probably find them.
I'm super down to do a sequel. That would be really cool. I want to go back to this volumetric scan though, because so far I think it's my favorite. What we're seeing is these like black and white videos of a person breaking in real time, and it's seeming to form like a 3D mesh, and you can see the shadows in white and black, and it's cutting between these like really short sequences. Can you tell me more about this one?
Yes, so this is our first like published work, let's say. It's called Immersive Cypher 1, and it's a short digital film which was edited. Let's say it is actually, it consists of this like mesh which was captured through volumetric capturing. We used a camera called the RealSense 4, and it was processed through Unity in terms of like where you can see the camera, like the angles of the camera were done through the edit mode.
Yeah, so this is panning the imaginary camera.
Yeah,
right.
And these ones are all made here actually. Well, now I'm just gonna show like on my back here. This is like the living room space.
Oh, and you got your linoleum set up, vital.
So yeah. This is where I live.
This is
it's a basement flat, and that square that you can see on the video is just here. So it's like a 2.5 3x3 meter square, and yeah, I think that it's mainly that with a track made by Grove, and this.
Oh right, I want to turn up the music a little bit.
Oh yeah, the music is super good.
Grove is a Bristol up-and-coming performer, sort of punk electro, fantastic performer.
Yeah, I love how like ingrained like collaboration is in this piece, and I love how music comes into these spaces.
Yeah, the addition of the video also goes on beat with the track.
Oh, I love it.
I've done a lot of electronic music and a lot of performance through my life, and so I still approach visual art in the same way, really.
Yeah, I have my little studio set up here, just my like Norns and my OP1.
Fair enough. Oh god.
Yeah, we got the.
I've gone. MPC. We're doing in 3 weeks' time in Germany. We're doing a live dance, electronic music, projected visual performance at LPM Audiovisual Festival in Münster, Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
There's going to be like 100 different audiovisual artists performing. It should be really interesting.
That sounds like a blast. Can you tell me more about this sculpture we're looking at here? I'm seeing it's got kind of like a wavy embossed texture, and it's like white, almost like bone, and there are these three interlocking rings.
Right, so if you look at the video beside it, and you follow the skeleton's left wrist.
It is a trace of the path of this person's motion. So I was wondering what these knots were, where the kind of loops intersect, and that's where the hand like twists.
Yeah. So that's a move in breaking elements, which is called like a power move, and this is a variation of a move called a swipe. And the sculpture is a representation of the trajectory of my left hand, of like, let's say 3 jumps of a swipe, and you can see them on this like curved lines. Yeah, I think you made the texture and everything in relation to it. This one has been presented like printed at the same time.
3D printed in resin.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
But only really small, about 10 centimeters high.
Yeah.
I don't know how to print it bigger.
I'm going to attempt to describe this movement because I think it's so cool. So the person starts by sort of slamming their palm into the ground, and then they like swing their hips around and then bounce and twist their entire torso 180 degrees so the palm slaps again. I think that's what I could watch this for like 20 minutes.
While doing that move, at one point in time, he's sort of on his back, hovering in midair.
Right. So it's 2 180-degree twists from like palm to palm.
So let's say, your back is looking towards the floor, and let's say you're jumping from, let's say, with your right hand and right foot for support. You throw the move. You do this kind of jump to receive on the left hand and left leg, and like the body hovers a little bit, like your back looks towards the floor without anything touching. And then you can try to continue the movement.
This is what I think is so interesting about image description, is that it's so subjective, and everybody's subjectivity brings something special to the table. It's like, I really feel like something is added when we do this.
That's amazing.
And I see over here, we have a little guy. This is like a human figure that's made up of these big, like brass reflective spheres. Like, you know, for scale reference, I think the arm comprises about 6 or 5 of them. Yeah.
Say about the dance moves.
Yeah, so this one is some golden balls. This one was a result from the motion capturing project that we did, and what's happening over here is like something we would call like a set, or let's say like a phrase of like different movements. So I wouldn't really be able to describe each of them happening, but as a whole, let's say like ground, floor work, choreo, consisting like different movements in which on this one particularly, I use a lot of like hooking the legs on top of the arms. So let's say kind of like wrap over the back of your knees on top of your forearm, and then like kind of like moving from there on, and like playing around with like where you're wrapping your knees over. And this is mixed with a little bit of like jumps and turns. I think it's mainly that.
I think it's interesting that the phrase immersive cypher we picked because Seb has explained to me in breaking, you would often get like a circle of people form, and people take it in turns to dance in the middle.
Yeah.
And this is called a cipher. So, and it's often in quite a lot of forms, it's nearly like a battle or a sort of a competitive performance between different people. And they often would do about a minute each.
Yeah,
in
there's
little
always
short
like
sets.
a little bit of an exchange on like different content.
It's quite like bebop, right? As compared to like big band as like an ensemble troupe where there's like a leader that like everybody gets a solo in bebop, and it seems to be the same in breaking.
The other thing about this is when we came back with this motion capture, I had to start experimenting with it in Unity and in Blender on what to make him look like. And so I did start off with, because I was learning animation, some just cubes and spheres, and I just attached it to the different animation data to see what would happen. So
was this one of your first projects together?
It's like middle.
Yeah, middle really, but the first one is one of the early experiments after the motion capture day.
I mean, I resonate with this because, like, you know, I've been using New Art City for as long as I've been a digital artist, so I have an archive of all of these things, and you can see kind of all of these different stages of your experimentation over time. I think it's really beautiful.
The other thing I found we both found really interesting, and Seba managed to describe it this well for me
at the ending of it.
Because I think you're actually better. I think he's actually better at words than me, even in English. But because there's none of the image of Seba left, he's been totally representative by some quite abstract forms. So, but it's really recognizably Seba. So you described it as being somehow the movement signature remains.
Yeah, like that.
I love that.
You can like. People who know myself, let's say, or like the style of breaking I do, would be able to tell that may be myself.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that rocks. I love that.
Yeah, and also we kept like the last bit of the career, which really, you can really tell like there's like this particular way it's gonna happen now, in which I just finish and I just like stand up and like laugh a little bit.
He just poses with his elbows bent. Stood up at the end, and it utterly looks like him.
Oh, I love it. I'm watching for it.
This one.
I see it now. That's so nice.
Yeah, like
just kind of like shakes it off. I can see the laugh kind of moving the body. This is a little bit of an off-topic question or whatever, but have you thought about using mocap to animate like non-human forms? Like, I'm wondering like if the position of the hands or something could like move trees up and down or something like that.
We literally.
I for another project, somebody else did this complete digital prison, and each artist had a little cell to put something in. And so I put in an oak tree in the cell because just maybe how we're sort of restricting the wild world. And so I did have a photogrammetry of an oak tree. So I did try the animation data on it. It was very funny.
Oh, yeah. I really want to see that. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah. That one is not on this exhibition though, because we took it as like kind of like one of our bad animation trials.
Well, that's because not all the vertices followed the tracks. Some of them just wandered off their own way.
So you had initially like this kind of tree, this oak tree standing, and then depending on where the markers were, there was a lot of trials of this. It would just like shrink or like go around, but like the structure itself would just like go everywhere.
Sort of.
Yeah, we really need to make like computer graphics bloopers.
Yeah. Oh, we have. Yes.
That would be really fun. Okay, so let's move on to this other video piece. Is there more around this corner, or is this kind of the whole environment?
There is 2 hidden bits at the end. Oh, if you go through there, just go straight in.
Oh, it's a 3D video of a club. This is awesome. So we got the disco ball with the like rainbow lights, and there's probably like 100 people here. There's somebody like breaking a little.
That's Seba.
Oh, and there's some folks with horns up on the stage.
Yeah, so this one is like typical Monday night in Bristol, called the Bounce Jam. it's a jam organized in this place called Strange Brew. And yeah, we usually, some time ago, as we didn't have any place where to train, we made this agreement with the musicians. As far as we got a little bit of space where to dance, we go there and jam with them. And there's always been this like kind of collaborative initiative between the dancers and the musicians. And actually, I think we met about like we probably met in one. And yeah, like you will have a lot of the dancers coming around, like asking stuff, or like I mean not asking stuff, but like people coming around or like first timers into breaking, or just get interested from like the vibe and stuff.
This is so cozy. Yeah, and it's like we used to have parties with Corsica Studios virtually, and you'd have, you know, like 50 little green diamonds in a virtual space. But it's like, you know, there's something so intimate about this 360 video. I'm very delighted.
I put it in, I think, because it captures a little bit of the Bristol culture of which we're both connected to, and just share half the art.
Yeah, you've done it in a really beautiful way overall. Like the combination of like the graffiti and the music, it's like it really like transports you. Here are the cubes, and we've got all of our fun little textures. It's like very like PS2. There's this like big stone texture. Oh, and we zoom out and there's like, it's actually 4 cubes, which are the same materials as the dancers. This like burnt orange kind of stone is the ground, and then there are these like paving stones with grass growing between them, some like dark, cracked castle brick looking stuff. And then we have that like sandstone, like marbly texture. And there are 4 dancers that are made up of arms and legs are like long rectangles, and the rest are cubes. All dancing in a circle, or I guess a square.
Yes, I thought about that. Everything's square, yeah.
Yeah, so this one also same thing. Group making the music. We came with this one because of the same like the little one from the motion capture with the golden balls. This comes from the kind of same project, like let's say.
Experimenting with very simple avatars while we were learning, and then just liking it.
Yeah, it's like there's this movie that I can send you called Computer Dreams of like the early years of computer graphics, and there's some like really atrocious stuff in there that's like really fun. But it's like there is definitely like an aesthetic of this like early proof of concept that's present. I think this looks great, but it's like I think but like the climax of that movie is like you get to Luxo Jr., the first like Pixar animation, which is like wins an Academy Award. So it's like you kind of watch this movement of computer graphics from like proof of concept to like something that people view as art. Ooh, I love this rainbow sphere, like color gradient HDRI too.
So actually, and just about these amusing connections, Musician Grove, their music studio is just behind that wall there, and they were very amused to see their music in this space.
That's really, really cool. It's
probably
it's so
space probably.
Where's the other secret area?
Oh, the other end.
So east end.
Yeah.
West end.
Go to the end and then turn a little doorway on the right.
There's another one. Wow. So we get another angle on y'all. I'm trying to see. So is this is the photo in the background? No.
Oh.
This one is. So you are sitting right there.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, that one is new. That one is new, but it is. But yeah, let's say like actually. All right.
Right. So what we're seeing is another spherical video of Seba's apartment with the linoleum, and Seba's breakdancing, and James is sitting on a chair underneath a bookshelf, and there's a little table with a tablet on it.
He's tried to teach me some things, but I think I'm too old and stiff.
Oh, now the 3D camera is underneath Seba. This is really cool. Love the perspective.
Yeah.
And you're wearing the same sweatpants that you were wearing in the 3D scan with the green stripe along the leg.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm also using those in the bounce night. I really like this tracksuits for like breaking. And yeah, I think this was when we were first starting to play with the.
At the end, he picks up the camera, tries dancing, and then hits the chair.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's our first like 360 camera crashing, breaking. So yeah, it will happen at some moment. Yeah, it should come around the end, I think. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Oh, this one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the little kind of human moments. And now we're back to the beginning. Yeah, these are so cool. You've really like done so much with all these different kind of techniques in working in 3D, and then you're like showing it in 3D. I think this is every single one of these I do. It's so fucking delightful.
That's really cool.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead. Well, is there anything else that I missed or anything else that you want to speak to before I stop the recording?
I don't think so. It's only a small space with a few things in, but it's the result. I think it's a really nice description of what we've been working on the last 2 years, all pulled together.
Yeah, I think people tend to spend a lot less sort of concentrated time in a space, and then me kind of like forcing them to explain everything ends up making it's like this is much longer than I would typically spend in a space like this also. But yeah, every time it's just so fun.